Imagine a founder who was building AI systems long before anyone had ever heard of ChatGPT and is now leading one of the most exciting AI projects in crypto. Today, I'm sitting down with Han Jin, CEO of BluWhale, a platform that's making it possible for AI to run on blockchains by connecting it to decentralized computing, storage, and data. But Han isn't here to play the hype game. He cuts straight through the noise.
If you're saying decentralized AI is here now, I would say that's a lie.
He's not afraid to challenge the narrative. He's seen how centralized AI hoards power, and he's building the infrastructure to take it back, starting with user data, one of the most important things of this century.
You should be the one that should be paid for.
BluWhale's model flips the script. Users contribute data, earn from it, and get matched with enterprises, creating a two-sided AI marketplace unlike anything the world has seen to date.
And that's what we do, right? On the application level, we match you to enterprises that might be interested in that kind of information.
And while the rest of the space chases hype cycles and vaporware, Han offers a lesson every founder needs to hear.
I think, if you have a conviction or you are contrarian about some things that are in this space broken, build for it, right? And don't think that, if you don't catch one of those 3 months waves or hype waves, that you are losing or that you are failing.
Guys, this isn't just another AI episode. It's a grounded, behind-the-scenes look at one of the few teams actually building at scale in this space. If you care about what comes after the hype and how real infrastructure gets built, this one is for you. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Han to the show. Han, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Excited to be here.
All right, guys, before we get into this interview, I want to share something really important. So I did this interview with Han a couple months back in Dubai. Now, I wanted to hold this interview until today because I knew that this community sale on paidnetwork.com, you guys should go check it out, was going to be happening. We were going to do it with them. And we knew that we were going to give you guys, my community, an amazing opportunity, way better than the other VCs. Just so you guys know, the previous round was raised at $100 million valuation with guys like SBI Holdings, Animoca, Sui Foundation, and many other big ones. There's also another huge bank coming into it right now. I'm very bullish on this project. I've invested in it to myself, and I really wanted to bring it to you guys, and I want you to be able to be as informed as possible so you can make your own decisions. That's why it's important that you listen to this interview, because there's a great opportunity, in my opinion. Not financial advice, do your own research, of course, but that's why I did this video, so you guys can hear directly from Han and what he's building and how knowledgeable he is, his exits, his entire history. So I will leave a link in the description below to go to Paid Network. If you're interested, there's a lot more information there as well about the due diligence. You can read up on it and go check it out, guys. This is how one of the ways I was able to vastly change my life was investing in early stage equity plus tokens. This project gives you both. And it's going to be listed, the token, on a tier 1 exchange at the end of the month. All right, guys, so check this out. Welcome Han to the show. So we're in Dubai. How's it been going for you over here right now? What have you been up to?
It's been very intense as a conference. Definitely better than last year when we had too much liquidity. But I think, today at the Sui conference gave us a lot of exposure to the new ecosystem that we joined. And welcoming them as an investor was a very, very big milestone.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I was also just over at Basecamp, and I really like the ecosystem. I'm big, actually their channel sponsor, and I mean, but that was full disclosure. I wanted that relationship because I really believe in what they're doing. And then big announcement, of course, was Sui Play today, and what they're doing, everything is very innovative, and so that's cool that you're joining the ecosystem. For those of you who don't know who you are, maybe you could just give a brief background about yourself, and then, we'll get into BluWhale a bit more, but high level.
Yeah, of course. So I've been actually spending most of my time in Web2. I studied AI back in the days in 2011 and 12 at Berkeley. Wrote a lot of the very early neural networks that predict consumer behavior, how they make decisions, how they purchase stuff, what do they like. And then got paired up with my co-founder, who is very technical, did his PhD at Stanford, also in AI, used to bring large server farm AI models down all the way into your mobile device and run it in real time. So two Web2 AI tech nerds, if you want to say that. Now I'm focusing on how to apply and build it out in Web3.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those who don't know, Crypto Nights, I was one of the judges. You were one of the contestants. Well, how was that experience?
It was great. I've never had one of those reality shows. I think it's a bucket list thing, right?
Yeah.
Like skydiving and reality show. but I felt like the way they designed like the environment and the space, it was a great experience. Like definitely one in a lifetime kind of experience.
Yeah. I think just for maybe a little inspiration for people watching or something. I mean, your story is quite unique. You kind of joke around with it in your little intro on Crypto Nights, but you say like, what was it that you're a German immigrant with a Chinese descent or ethnicity? So
that's right.
So maybe you can just like give a little bit of your history of kind of what was that like coming into the States with everything you said. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, like, so I was born in China, but actually raised in Germany. Went to Germany when I was like very, very young. Spent most of my time there. That's why I have this German accent that still reveals a lot. Went to the United States for my education. Did my master's in the Bay Area, and everybody thinks I'm Korean because I'm Korean looking. But yeah, it's very weird mix. But at least people remember.
Yeah, but you're quite like tall and everything. For a Chinese guy.
I mean, like, grew up in Hamburg. People in Hamburg are very tall.
Yeah.
They say it's a cold temperature, right? It makes your bones grow. But I do think like, different nutrition, different environments really make a different person out of you.
So your focus, it sounds like, and your co-founders as well, has been largely on AI.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think it takes for kind of the Web3? Now, we've had obviously since the ChatGPT went viral, fastest growing app in the world, and took a long time, 35, 40 years for the AI industry to get to the point where mass retail were using it. Sure. Do you think that like with the Web3 and decentralized versions of AI are going to be able to compete with the centralized incumbents?
Very good question. I would say we are still very, very early. If you're saying like, decentralized AI is here now, I would say that's a lie. There are a lot of components missing, a lot of infrastructure that's still missing. And so, which is a great opportunity, right, overall. And I also believe in the mission of what AI on blockchains can do, more than the centralized way that's been done right now. To give you some background, building AI in the last, I would say, 10 to 12 years now, gave us kind of like the insight that really just the big guys can do it, right? The ones that have hundreds of millions of users, the ones that have the capital, the ones that have the data, right? If you're a small player or you're just starting off building an app, 10,000 like monthly active users, you don't even need to try, right? And if you use some of the OpenAI models and you start using ChatGPT in your applications, guess where your data goes to? Mm-hmm. It goes to OpenAI. And so, thinking about it from a philosophical term, thinking about how decentralization can make it more accessible to the rest of us, to the 98% of the world, being able to store and aggregate information for AI to autonomously make decisions on blockchains. And of course, giving AI to the people to govern and vote and contribute. I think that's the bigger picture that I believe in.
And so what kind of, like, how does that progression work? I think one of the biggest discussion points right now in AI is agents and multi-agents and swarms and agents with tools, which has been a complete game changer, by the way. I mean, I think that, at least for me, the way I use the AI models as essentially like a personal assistant, the game changed obviously with what was the first ChatGPT model that we all used? 3.0 or something, or 3.5 or something. Yeah. But then it was kind of like small incremental upgrades until this 0.3 model just rolled out, which has been unbelievable with the reasoning and logic and multi-agents and tools. Yeah. So when do we see that point in the road where we have the same kind of frictionless and same kind of user experience and same kind of benefits that the end user gets on the Web3 side, or the side that uses the kind of things that you just talked about, where your decentralized infrastructure, and you're getting your data out of the hands of the big conglomerates.
Correct. So if you look at, like what OpenAI has built over the last couple of years with billions of dollars invested, is the underlying infrastructure that they have with the data, with the users, with the LLMs, with the underlying knowledge graph structure that they have for the transformation that they need to do. We believe that should be in the hands of other people, which means, in the future, if we can imagine like a decentralized future where that kind of stuff sits on the blockchain, then it's much more fair than belonging to one organization at a time. Now, from a scalability perspective, giving it to one organization, it's easier to scale, right? If you have the capital, you can build it out all yourself. You have everything in control. Now, the good thing is like OpenAI owns the end-to-end stack, which allows them to scale that kind of user experience for you as an end user much, much faster, much more efficient. Now, on the blockchain side, if we would, decentralize that, give it to a lot of companies, we see companies now doing decentralized compute, decentralized storage, decentralized data. And we feel like every company is doing a piece of the puzzle. But now you want to tell like an LLM to go there and say like, hey, now puzzle the pieces together on blockchain and figure it out yourself. It's not going to work, right? Because the model underneath needs those resources to actually function by themselves. So, you need to create something that allows them to pull information, resources, compute, data, storage, all on demand. And that's kind of like what we call the orchestration that is missing on the blockchain. And that's why we, BluWhale, have gotten our hands very, very deep into that direction, because we believe, the orchestration and infrastructure that can power those LLMs to on-demand modularly pull those resources they need together is going to be the scalability kind of like foundation that those models will need. And that's ultimately what we focus on as a company.
Yeah, so maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more on then what is BluWhale?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I would say like, if you look at BluWhale, we started off thinking about how to use the different puzzle pieces that are being decentralized by different companies on the blockchain to aggregate into what we call like a pool, right? And what agents should be doing in the future, they should be able to tap into that pool whenever they want to make a decision, want to make a conclusion or make a transaction. And that pool will provide them all the resources they need in order to then act. Now, what BluWhale does, we see ourselves as an orchestration layer, intelligence layer, or, like if you be a little bit more abstract, like a layer 3, L3. Because if you have an L1 that is more the foundation, the L2s with acceleration and cost efficiency, then as an L3, you are aggregating everything what's underneath into what needs to be done for the application, for the intelligence on top of that. And that's ultimately, like we see ourselves as a decentralized AI network or like an intelligence layer that's going to be powering AI agents and models to transact and make decisions on chain.
Okay, so is BluWhale a B2B play or a B2C play?
Very good question. We see ourselves as a multi-sided marketplace where we have, on the one side, we have the enterprises that use us to build smart apps, chats, deploy LLMs and agents. And then we have, on the other side, the individual consumers that contribute into our layer with their data, using their smartphones, the resources that the pool needs in order to support that agent. And so, like ultimately, we see ourselves as an ecosystem, right? Like where those players benefit from being a part of the ecosystem, contribute into the ecosystem by earning, and also being able to extract value, because only by pooling all those things together, you actually can give AI to the small guys.
So does that mean like in this pool that, kind of anybody can contribute to what would be needed in this pool by all these different people wanting to build using these different things? So maybe that's some people contributing kind of things like oracles or real world data into the pool or anything else. So where's the traction right now? Who's building and kind of some of your use cases?
Yeah, great question. So I think like over the last 12 months, we grew to more than 5,000 enterprise accounts.
5,000?
5,000. mostly SMBs. It's like smaller, like somewhere from like a team of 2 all the way to a team of like 10 to 50. Building in 3 main verticals, which is gaming, Web3 gaming, social content, like consumer content. And the last one is the DeFi and the financial aspects of services. That's most of them, the number one characteristic is consumer-facing applications. Then on the consumer side, we have grown now to more than 3 million unique users that came and set up their profile in order to contribute. We are looking at 1.1 to 1.2 million monthly active users on our platform.
Reoccurring monthly active users?
Yeah. Wow. And we are seeing now scaling from 120K to 150,000 daily active transactions. I mean, like people on our platform.
Unique users.
Unique users. The craziest part was because we, like as an AI platform, some of the other stuff, because not everything is decentralized, some of our stuff is centralized and partly is decentralized. We are looking at it from a transaction perspective. We are looking at almost 82 million transactions since inception. And that's incredible. Like,
and what period of time has that been?
I would say that's in the last 12 to 16 months.
Wow. Yeah. It's a lot. Okay. So one of the things that you touched on before, which I think most people would have come to consensus on, is the ownership of the data aspect. And then, like, I just told you that, using the O3 model has been one of the most transformative things for me personally. Yeah. But the scary thing there is that, it knows everything about me.
Yeah.
Right? And right. So much, it's so good, right? Just to give users some context, like, I'm moving to the States next week. And I asked O3 model, I said, this was the prompt. Based on what you know about me, find me the perfect house for lease, for a 6 to 12 month lease,
right,
in Austin, Texas. And, thought for like 2-3 minutes. And to give you some contrast, before, when I tried this search on the 4.0 model or 4.5, it came back with like a bunch of VRBO and Airbnb short-term listings, right? It wasn't what I needed. But then the O3 model was nuts. Like it started looking at all the, like the VR, like the Zillow and the Realtor.com and all these things.
Right.
And then it gave me like top 5.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for houses for months over there, every day, just like seeing, what's popping up and what's new and like trying to find other stuff. And then I think like the number one search result that it gave me 5. The number one was actually my number one on the list that I'm looking for out of, hundreds or thousands of listings. And it said, like, and these are the reasons why it'd be perfect for you. It says it's got a big fenced-in yard for Rupert, your dog. It's got ice bath. It's got sauna.
Right.
It's got it's like close to the city, but far enough to where you feel isolated. For a biohacker like you.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's they converted the 3-car garage into a gym. It's got plenty of places for you to set up your podcast studio and your studio. Like, blew me away. Right.
That's insane.
And so that's so useful.
Yes.
But at the same time, the more I'm going to be using it, the more I'm going to be asking questions about my personal health, about relationships, about, IP, my business model. I mean, for business, I'm saying, hey, we're working on this new top secret, token model. Right. Like, tell me how we can best, make this most efficient or whatever. I mean, now that's IP. And that's just, I'm not even creating like a new invention or something, but some people are working on those, And so I think that, and I'm sure that these guys have great security practices and everything like that, but it is still scary how much these models know and the centralized control over them, especially if you want to start using them for things like, election manipulation or politics or persuasion or whatever. We know these AI models would be great. So anyway, long story, not pretty long anyway. It was, so how is, what is BluWhale doing and people building the BluWhale ecosystem?
Yeah.
How is it different on the privacy and data perspective?
For sure. So what you just explained, right? Where the model knows everything about you. And I have to say, like, some of the newer ChatGPT models are even better and smarter in extracting information out of you, right? Goes all into the ChatGPT data network, right? Or the data storage. So that one company will, like one day, if they want to find out about, whatever they're going to do to you, that information sits with them.
Yeah.
Right. From a privacy perspective and security perspective, I don't think there's any lack. I think they do a fantastic job. But the thing is, like, you have to understand it's that one single entity that
Yes.
owns it, right? Now, if you think of it from a decentralized perspective, and blockchains, in my opinion, has so many incredible like security and privacy technologies already built in.
Yes.
That I'm not too worried in the future that, your data on the blockchain won't be safe enough. I think what we want to do is that what you are doing with that model where you are talking back and forth is belonging to you, sitting on the blockchain, but only you.
Right.
And only you have access. And if other people want to have access, you can grant them access if they pay for it, right? But it's yours at the end of the day. And I think that's ultimately what we want to be able to achieve, right? Like, being able to restore that information on the blockchain, being secure, being private, being opt-in by you only, that you decide who can see, who can access, who can pay me for that kind of information. And if I actually want to be kind of like served by this individual entity or whatever brand that wants to have access to it. Now, on the other side, in the Web2 world, because that one entity owns it, you don't know how they're using it.
Right.
Right? You don't know. Like, maybe they could be on the back end. I don't think so, but maybe they could be selling on the back end. That's literally how the Google model and the Meta model works today. To other brands and advertisers. Why shouldn't that be a kind of like a profitable model for those AI companies in the future?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I believe the free models do that.
Correct, because you are having free service, and so you are not paying
Nothing's
money.
really free. Yeah?
Correct,
Yeah.
Nothing is really free. You are paying in a different way.
Yeah. So in BluWhale specifically, are you guys taking steps to solve these problems, like self-sovereignty of data and these kind of things?
100%. And like I mentioned, right, like our long-term future is that you are a node in our network. You own the information that aggregates around that node. You are fully control of the privacy, security, and who sees and access that information. And you can monetize, because I believe the monetization right now is unfair, where those big guys are taking capital on the back end, right? Making billions of information that have acquired over the years. And you should be the one that should be paid for, right? I even think about it's very, very aligned to the way I think about universal kind of income in the future, where that is a path to universal income.
Yeah.
It's very, very transparent. Right. It's very controllable in your hands, and you can decide, like, and that's what we do, right? Like on the application level, we match you to enterprises that might be interested in that kind of information, right? So I always used to, joke around that we are Tinder on, on blockchains, but like we don't match women to men. We match individual consumers to enterprises that want to get to know them better, serve them with the right services, send the right communication to them. And that's kind of like how the monetization works. But long-term speaking, ultimately their models that they're going to be deploying will be accessing your information, and you will not just earn passive income, but also decide and kind of like opt in. And that's the right model.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really powerful. I've thought about that a lot. Just being able to monetize your own data. And and like you said, I think actually I didn't really think about that perspective before, but like it is a way of universal basic income. Everyone is on their devices all day long, giving up all kinds. In fact, I met a project before that was going to run some sort of some sort of thing that runs in the background on your phone, and it was just could be sitting there collecting everything that you do,
correct? Except
for somehow they said that they don't do your passwords or something like that, and then you're going to be able to monetize that. So someone that's in AI for a long time, and you spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley as a successful entrepreneur, and people who are looking right now, a lot of my audience, they're looking at this industry, crypto, blockchain, AI, and they're wondering, how can I place bets around this? Because you can't, as a normal person, like you're not getting access to invest in the next OpenAI,
For sure.
right? You're not getting access to the next Anthropic or whatever. Like that's reserved for all the big VCs and things like that, So for the people who want to, look at placing bets where they can right now in maybe AI and the blockchain side of things, like where should they be looking?
That's a great question. And I think I would break it down into 3-4 pillars that very, very makes a lot of sense to me when it comes to decentralizing. One is the decentralized compute side of things. That's a very low hanging fruit, very, very crowded in terms of what's out there, what solutions, what companies do it. I think the one way of picking the right fruit is to kind of look at from a execution perspective. Are they generating revenue? It's an industry that you should be generating profit from day one. It's not something that you necessarily need to do years of no capital income and then being able to scale. The second piece that I see is data verification, right, on blockchain using consensus mechanism to verify the information that are coming through. I have seen now some chains also being able to verify the agent, verifying the input and output. Why is that so important? Is because it has to do with manipulation. If it's an open network, if it's a decentralized network, you should be able to manipulate an agent, right? By feeding them the wrong information so that they would actually always have a bias.
Right.
And then the last piece clearly is the decentralized storage side of things. I think we are making a lot of progress on that side. I wouldn't say decentralized storage necessarily is a vertical that is only AI, right? For AI.
Right.
There are a lot of other use cases that might be a better fit, but I think decentralized storage is definitely important. And then the last piece, what I'm looking at on a daily basis, the orchestration. Right. How do you aggregate that information? How do you provide or pull together the right modular computational environment for the AIs to pool, right?
Yeah.
Put the pool together to dip out of. So that's kind of how I would look at it. And then, clearly I do think it's something I really need to highlight is as a founder that has seen how engineers and developers have grown into different AI environments or blockchain, we are able to convert a backend engineer or a full stack engineer into a blockchain engineer. I would say in about 6 to 12 months. Maybe some of them might need 1.5 years to learn it, but they can become a good blockchain engineer. But if you want to convert a normal, developer into an AI engineer, that could take you 3 to 4 months, 3 to 4 years. And why is that? Because AI doesn't just come with the, basic cornerstones of coding and whatever. There's also a lot of math that has to be understood to write the right algorithms and integrate that, especially from a Python perspective. And so I would actually say if I'm looking at a company that doesn't have a deep AI kind of background guy that has worked at least 4 years or a couple of years in AI, I would be concerned.
Yeah,
I really would, because not every blockchain engineer you can just easily push into AI and then he is going to fly. And so that's kind of an area I would say as a red flag.
Yeah. And I know that you're, right now you're focused on building BluWhale specifically, but to continue on that same path, where could your average person who may be watching this go and start to look for some of these projects? Are they just sitting there searching the AI category on CoinMarketCap? Or is there a place where you can meet a lot of these new founders and potentially, take a position? Or do you know? I know that you're mostly building, but
yeah. So that's a really great question, and I think the way I've looked at it, from a CoinMarketCap or just looking at exchanges that are labeling their tokens with AI, or anything that people are screaming on Twitter that is AI, I would actually stay away from.
Yeah.
I would use a double filter process, which means look at the ecosystems, Sui, Avalanche, Arbitrum, and some of the other chains that are heavily investing into AI. Why is it a double kind of a filtering process? Is because I see them as a filter process to do the work for me, that the ones that the AI projects that are bringing on, they need to filter from a technical perspective if they can actually build on my chain. And if they pass and actually start integrating and start building on those chains, they are milestoned. That means like every single thing that they deliver, they will get a grant or they get an investment or whatever, and then keep scaling on that chain, which means another filter process of like, hey, this team actually executing and building and delivering what they promised to, versus like just purely like putting from a marketing perspective, the AI brand on top of my name.
Yeah.
Right. Stuff like this.
Totally.
So my process of doing that is I look at some of the ecosystems or some of the chains that are heavily starting to build up, kind of like AI companies. And then I start looking into their cohorts. I look into their, like companies that are building on top of them. And then I start thinking about like, why are they building on Sui? Why are they building on Avalanche? Why are they building on Arbitrum? Right. And understanding then that those guys that actually delivered the product all the way till the end, that they have the technical capabilities to execute. And the second thing is like they are pre-selected by this technical team from the chain that already did a lot of the work for me.
So said that you just got an investment from Sui. Maybe you could just walk us through what the due diligence process was like from them.
For sure. So first of all, I need to face all the developers on the Sui side in order to understand, like how do we integrate? There's a lot of pre-discussion. Not every chain is like a straightforward integration process for AI. You need to go through the technical due diligence. Most of their questions are very, very technical, much more technical than VCs.
Yeah.
So for example, right? If you're looking at a financial VC that, a really big brand that invested in a company says like this technology is great, I wouldn't necessarily, think that way because they don't have such a depth of like engineers that will be looking over the stuff if that should be investable. Versus like the chain, like the amount of engineers they have, that's
like all engineers.
They got thrown at you, and they are sometimes so deeply technical, right? Like to convince those guys that what I'm building is AI is a really hard job. Versus like convincing a VC to invest in me because I'm building AI is a very, very different question because with a VC, you're talking more high level market trend macro, right? But with those engineers, you need to literally convince them that the Sui technology will be able to function with what we are building at the same time.
Well, I mean, it's a big relief to me, full disclosure. I mean, I'm an investor and advisor for BluWhale. But when I was doing my due diligence, for me as a VC, I'm just saying that this is like very, very reassuring because now we know that the technical due diligence was done. And I didn't do technical due diligence before I invested. I invested based on, your background, your co-founder's background, the product market fit that I thought, was going to be useful or not. And then just your past history and ability to execute, right? And then also just, I think, charisma and, perseverance, which I saw a lot from you was very appealing. So that's reassuring. Mm-hmm. So high five.
No, and then the second thing I want to really highlight is, so those chains are very smart in the way they give grants out. Yeah. Right, so they don't just throw money at you.
I think they're getting smarter, right? They used to be
100%.
It used to be just waste, fraud, and abuse. I think
100%. And so the way they do it is like, okay, this is the grant I'm giving you. Here are the milestones you need to hit, and often those milestones are deeply tied with how you're executing in terms of the product, the integration, and the deployment. Now, right? Let's say the chain maybe didn't do as much of a due diligence on this team and gave them a grant. Even then, for the team to actually deliver to what, to get the full grant is going to be a tough challenge too. And because that becomes a tough challenge, it becomes also a filter for you to be able to see like, hey, is this possible from a technical perspective? It wasn't just a theoretical discussion that they had with the engineers.
So I've been following your journey for quite a while. And every time I see you, it's always hardworking. You got new, amazing news. For those watching who are either existing entrepreneurs who are still trying to kind of, go down the right path in crypto, for example, or even, I would like to even try to encourage, people who maybe haven't yet taken the path to do a startup. Every time I talk to you, you've been making really good progress along the way. And it seems to be getting more and more close to like going to market, labeled as a tier 1 product, from day one. Blue chip kind of product. And that's, I know you can go into it, but I know it's not easy work at all. It takes tons of effort, tons of conversations, right? You've had to do multiple rounds of fundraising.
For sure.
And I know that you have things thrown at you all the time that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to people who are looking to maybe do a startup and, maybe a couple of the hard things that you had to learn, a couple lessons.
Yeah.
You've done a really phenomenal job so far. So what's the advice?
I mean, a lot of things that I did wrong and had to learn from, that's for sure. It's the startup journey is never easy from day one. I do appreciate that I spent a lot of time for the last 10 to 12 years building in Web 2. Because the main difference between building in Web 2 and Web 3 is like in Web 2, nobody looks at you.
Yeah.
So there's less noise, right?
Yeah.
So that means like you go through that struggle, you keep pushing, you keep living on ramen and you keep, building, but there's no light or kind of like hype or whatever at the end of the tunnel. Now coming into Web 3, the biggest problem I feel like, especially for younger founders that are maybe in their, early 20s or mid 20s, that are getting really excited because, Web3 looks like a space that has a lot of capital. Being able to filter noise is probably one of the biggest challenges to build in Web3, right? Understanding that 99% is noise. You need to filter that out and still keep executing and building. That's what you see with us, right? I wouldn't say BluWhale is a company that did incredible marketing. Okay, so I can't say that. I think we did some things right on the marketing front, but the thing is like we don't spend a lot of time and a lot of investment pushing our marketing narrative, but we prove the world wrong by showing them that we can execute and we actually deliver. Our community knows that, right? The millions of people that are on our platform, they see it every single day. We launch a lot of different functionality and scrap a lot of stuff that doesn't work every single day. They see that. So we don't, just tell them we are AI. We show them that we are AI. The second thing is like, of course, the crypto space goes through those hype cycles, right? Like up and down and up and down. Once it's up, you have those 3 months of like, oh, agents is really hot right now. Or like, AI ChatGPT is really hot now. And there's like always those like three-month cycles, right? Which is like a wave that a lot of people try to catch. Don't try to catch waves. It makes no sense. That wave will be gone by the time you have already built it.
Totally.
Now, for founders out of Web 2, we don't even see those waves. Like, so we don't pay a lot of attention to them because they're kind of like the shiny things that you see hanging in front of you, dangling in front of you, that, we need to scrape and kind of like, to mute.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge. In Web3, you have so many things you have to get right. Token listing, product building, product market fit, marketing, guerrilla marketing, social community. It's too much. Like how can a person, like, that's why I feel like for the next generation founders that are about to go into Web3 and kind of build the next big thing, it's so much harder than for me like 10 years ago when I was building on Web 2.
I think not even just for the younger entrepreneurs. I mean, we run paid network, as the Launchpad, and, we had all the hype and attention, in 2021, launched in January, went to $3.5 billion valuation and built a big community. And then, of course, you go into bear market, token price comes down. You have, and then that time is, and another piece of advice for people watching that are plan on being, multi-cycle and you're really building something that wants to stay, is you will have a time, that I think that we're about to experience within the next year or so, or hopefully sooner, where we see, just kind of everything going up, altcoin season.
Yep.
And then you actually have all users coming to use your product. They're interested, they're curious, retail's coming in, customer service is off the hook, you have to hire a bunch of people. You're not really having time in those times, at least for our experience, to actually innovate and build. Hopefully you've built something useful at that point to service the people that come in. That's what was our experience anyway. But admittedly, it was built on bubblegum and duct tape. It was looking back, it worked, but it was a lot of problems behind the hood.
Right. And
then when and you said it too, right? There's a lot of spotlight, a lot of attention, a lot of community. And then when the market comes crashing down, a lot of that noise goes away.
Yeah.
But some people stay, right? Correct. And those are your core community members, and a few of them are very opinionated, and you have to address them. Because whether they are satisfied or not, can actually determine the sentiment of your community, right? Even if your token price is down, if you're communicating with your community, and especially the loud ones, and you're at least listening to them and addressing them, then you can keep the sentiment, at least neutral.
Correct.
But I'll tell you, as when the founder of Paid Network, who then during the bear market brought in, executive team to operate, so I could think more about growth and vision and everything like that. I spent from the time that the market came crashing down until now, essentially, thinking about how to improve the product. We rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. But importantly, also the economic model, the token model. For sure. But we had, some people that pop in and they went about their day, they went to their job, whatever. And then, a night before they come in and they give their opinion about what you're doing wrong. What you're doing wrong. And it's like, man, I've been thinking about this forever. And I encourage, healthy debate and discussion. But, to your point, we've had so many times where I get either a community member or one of my team members who comes like, oh, Kyle, this is the new hot meta. We need to go down this path. And it's just like, no, we should not do that. Right. And they're like, but what we were doing before didn't work anymore. I'm like, no, it will. Right. Like it will. We know the market will come back. We know that what we're offering is valuable. Yeah. And, even though we built a new economic model, like I ran the model and simulation enough to know that it's going to work when time comes. Yeah. It's not going to build the price of the token right now and make the community happy, but nothing's going up right now. So as a founder, you have to stay your path. You have to know what you're doing. You have to you have to try to build conviction in what your path is, because if you don't have conviction, you will get steered in the wrong direction. I've seen it 100%. So many times, founders chasing these narratives, like you said. That's a really good point.
Yeah. And things like, if you don't have the long-term conviction of what you're building, right? And you are here just to chase like wave after wave after wave, you're going to get really tired. You're going to build a lot of like vaporware. Right? Yeah. And the thing is like being able to see through the times when noise and shiny stuff becomes very exciting is to say no, right? Like literally, like I say 9 out of 10 times no. Yeah. Right. Because I don't want my team to be chasing any of that stuff. I will always say no because we need to stay on track. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing.
Laser focus.
Yeah. Being very, very laser focused and just like not care what's going on around you, no matter how hyped, how exciting it is, right? Like, the agent narrative has become really, really exciting, and see all my friends like all of a sudden adding agent into like whatever they do. I think, like if you have a conviction or you are contrarian about some things that are in this space broken, build for it, right? And don't think that, if you don't catch like one of those 3 months waves or hype waves, that you are losing or that you are failing. That's another thing which I think is very, very dangerous for the next generation, where like guys are so spoiled in Web3 that the token, once they launch it, goes up like crazy, right? And then like a meme token goes all the way up to the moon, and then they cash out and they're happy and then they disappear. But the thing is like what they don't see is like how long the token has been around before it actually took that rocket ship. And also when you're launching day one, that just because it's muted or it's not as exciting or your token is not going like 100x right from the get-go, doesn't mean that you are failing, right? And I feel like that's where like I feel a lot of the guys that are coming into the space, that are wanting to build in the space, that are a little bit younger, that they think of themselves as a failure if their token doesn't take off, and then they give up and then they move on. Yeah. You need to stick around. That's how you win, right? That's how Kyle won, right? He sticked around. And he's not here because like he thought like, oh, tomorrow it's going to go up and I'm going to be around. No, he sticked around for so many different bull cycles that now he looks like a winner. And that's what we need to tell the next generation of founders that are, looking or listening in, that sticking around. I give you a funny example. We did a community token the other day, fair launch from zero. The token took a 5x up, which was more steady up during a market like this, right? There's nothing going like really crazy. And, we didn't cover it by the news or whatever, but for my community, that's a very, it's a good return. From my perspective, it's a good return. It should make everybody happy. A lot of people were pissed. It's like, why didn't it go up like 10, 100x? Why should it be continue to give up? And so they start ignoring it. But that's where the real value sits as a founder to see through those moments and still keep pushing and keep pushing. And then you will start seeing those community members coming back and saying like, oh my God, like how did it go up that much? But by the time they look back, they're seeing the peak of the iceberg.
Yeah.
They don't see what is under the water that you built.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's patience is a virtue in this space. I mean, it's so hard to build in this industry on chain and initially in the Web3 space. You know, that's a complicated thing. And then we add in token dynamics and you add an audience and all these complicated things. Oftentimes, I mean, we did really well the first run. It was a lot of attention, a lot of hype, but also we provided a lot of value.
Sure.
But when I looked back, you know, I realized that it wasn't the kind of model I wanted to operate. It wasn't the kind of message that I wanted to put out. I didn't want to attract people who were there for the pump initially and just selling on the launch. I wanted to build an investor platform where people came on and changed and looked at these things, not from what's it going to do on day one, but if I have an extra $250 this week to invest in something, I want to put in something that I think is going to be around in 10 years, you know? And so I had to reinvent the entire messaging. And I think, and that in a long run, I think this is what's going to make us stand out amongst everyone else because the competition is fierce.
I agree.
But yeah, so.
And then along the way, tune it, right? That's what you did. You tune it into like, you know, like the, LCO model, right? Which is tuning of what you already have as existing, which I think, you know, like over long term, right, really paid out because now the industry is adopting it so well, right? And so I think, you know, like, for the initial, you know, like when you're coming out of the gate and initially you're not getting this hype or excitement and everybody's saying yes, 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 but people are saying no, 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 and then ignoring you. I think you are sitting on something good, and that's what you should be looking down. And you might be surprised at some point, like a couple months or a year down the road, you see other people starting to copy exactly what you do. Yeah.
All right, Han, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Really appreciate having me. Thank you so much.